Welcome back, students. Today's topic is about bioreactors, vessels needed for expression of recombinant proteins in cells. We have already discussed about how we prepare a recombinant cell. In our earlier videos, we discussed about recombinant technology, steps of recombinant technology, how to get a desirable gene from a sample tissue. Like for example, here I am talking about gene for coding for human growth hormone. So suppose we want to make a protein, that is human growth hormone, that is a protein for marketing, for medical purpose, for commercial scale, on commercial scale. So how do we get it marketed? How do we get it commercialized? So we have to have a system to form those proteins in the laboratory. So how is it done? In a large scale industry, how is it done? So we get the gene of interest, we get the vector which will carry our gene of interest. The vector could be a plasmid from a bacterial cell. So it will carry the desirable gene of interest. We have talked about how recognition sequences are cleaved by a particular restriction enzyme for both vector as well as the gene of interest, cleaved by the same enzyme. So sticky ends are created, all this is done. So we ligate it and the recombinant DNA can be introduced into the host cell by making the host cells competent. Okay, so there is screening process of whether the cells have taken the recombinant DNA with the gene of interest or not. So there are methods of screening, like selectable markers are present on the vectors which will report us that the gene is carried in. So when we have the recombinant cell, now how do we take care of getting the protein produced by them? We have to take extra care of these cells, of these bacterial cells. We have to provide them all the favorable conditions for them to work for us. These cells are going to be a machinery for producing our protein. In their protein factory, that is in their machinery, in the protein synthesizing factory called ribosomes, they will produce this protein for us. So we have to be very caring about their growth phases. So that is how the next topic is going. Just have a reading about this. So how to harvest the protein on a large scale. What all care should be taken? I discussed about human growth hormone. You must be knowing that people who suffer from lack of growth, proper growth, that is due to lack of growth hormone. This dwarfism is the disease. So we administer growth hormone for them. That is the example given there. Now coming to expression of recombinant protein in host. Every condition should be optimized. Temperature, pH, all this should be taken care of. So we are going to talk about those culture procedures for getting the foreign protein expressed in the recombinant cell. Expression means gene coding and making that protein. So what are the sterilization procedures? Very first thing we have to take care is we have to provide a germ-free environment for the cells to grow. Our recombinant cells need a very germ-free, clean environment that is called aseptic condition. So that sterile environment should be created. That means no other germ other than our recombinant cells should be there. Because if there are other cells, it will contaminate the product. It will affect the growth phases of our cells. So our product that has to be marketed won't be very safe for human consumption if there are other microbes, other germs. So the very important thing is maintaining a sterile environment, an aseptic condition. We have to have all the vessels properly sterilized. Like for example, in a small scale, I'll talk about small scale first. Small scale sterilization includes cleaning of the glasswares, maintaining a proper sterile steps for cleaning the glasswares. Then we are using media. See, when we are growing microbes, we have to give them food. So in these glasswares, we are keeping formulated food, that is called nutrient media. Okay, so such formulated nutrient medium, it is formulated because we are using all the components which are sources of their energy. It could be some carbon source, it could be nitrogen source, oxygen supply, mineral elements needed for the growth of the microbes, all this is formulated. So these chemicals are available which has all those energy sources. So they are formulated, and of course water. So they are maintained in a very right ratio, and this media also has to be sterilized. So a machine called autoclave is used to sterilize the media, to cook the media in such a way that it is properly sterilized before we inoculate the microbes in it, before we give the sample microbes that we have to start the process of dividing and going on increasing in number. Before that, this food has to be cooked and sterilized properly. Then we add the microbe samples which are ready, the recombinant cells which are ready, into this culture vessels, again in a very sterile environment. There are various devices to maintain the aseptic condition. So we will do it only in those areas, those sterile areas. Okay, so that process of giving the start material, that is the sample microbes which will do our work, into the medium is called inoculation. Now, so when it is inoculated with the microbes, we have to shake it vigorously. So we have shakers, devices called shakers, to provide proper agitation, and that improves the efficiency of oxygen transfer to each and every area of the media, so that cells are having enough supply of all the necessary materials for their growth. Such cultures are called shake flasks. That means you are culturing them in flask and you are using a shaker to agitate them. So such cultures are called shake flask cultures, which is generally done on a small scale for laboratory cultures. Coming to large scale cultures. How do you carry out sterilization of large scale cultures? So maintaining aseptic environment for when you are trying to have thousands of liters of culture media, that means you are doing it at a commercial level. So that media is called substrate on which the microbe is growing. So such huge vessels are called fermenters. You need huge vessels for such high liters of culture medium. So you cannot do such thousands of liters in flasks. So you need devices called fermenters or bioreactors for large scale growth of microbes, and these microbes will convert the substrate into your desirable product. The substrate may be a low value substrate, but the product they give you is of a very high value. So the fermenter is sterilized by passing steam through its jackets or coils. So it has got, this is an internal arrangement shown how it is. It's actually made up of a stainless steel. So if you look from out, it will look like a steel vessel. But this is the arrangements it has. Many monitoring systems are there to control all the necessary conditions for the proper growth. So steam pressure is built. It is held at a rate of 15 psi, pounds per square inch. That is the high steam pressure maintained for around 20 minutes. So before we start culturing, this vessel has to be sterilized by this method. Okay, the most commonly used bioreactor, there are many, but most commonly used is stirred tank bioreactor. We will talk about two in the next frame, but there are more than those. Now, inoculum, I already said, they are cells added to start a culture. Okay, that is inoculum. Now, these are some of the ports and some of the features of a fermenter, like for air passage. Forced aeration is a must, because when microbes grow very fast, a high concentration of microbes can deplete the soluble oxygen, which will disturb their growth. So, air has to be passed. Okay, so that production is good enough. Then there are certain monitoring features like sensors, probes, system monitor to take care of physical, chemical and biological parameters which can affect the growth of the cells. So according to how you monitor, even computers are attached to certain modern these fermenters. So you can monitor the thing, and whatever is going low or high, you can arrange it so that the growth of cells are maintained. Now we discussed about flask shake. What is the advantage of this one? This stirred tank over flask shake. That can be a small question. This allows small volumes of culture to be taken out for sampling or testing, whether you are products are being built up in a proper manner, whereas you cannot do that in a flask. Then coming to details of that bioreactor or fermenter. Definition: a device which carries out chemical processes called fermentation, but not within the vessel, within the cells growing in the vessel. Okay, so they are involving living organisms, or there can be fermenters which may not be using organisms, but their substances, derivatives like enzymes, etc., are used to give you a product. The environment can be aerobic or anaerobic, and it should be aseptically maintained, germ-free condition, as I said. Otherwise, the product will be poisonous. It will be toxic for human use. Now, two main types of bioreactors we will discuss here is stirred tank bioreactor and sparged stirred tank bioreactor. Sparged has a sparger, that is an additional feature, and that is better than the stirred tank we will discuss. So features of stirred tank are: it is generally cylindrical with a curved base. It has a stirrer so that the content can be evenly mixed. Homogenization means the whole nutrient should be evenly mixed at each and every part of the media, plus microbes should not be accumulated at one place. It also should be in all the places uniformly so that they have enough nutrient for growth and space also. An agitator or an impeller which improves mixing. Okay, agitation is for vigorous shaking, mixing well. Foam control unit, झाग बनता है, foam, because of growth of microbes or protein present in the media. You can have the foams created in the vessel which will reduce the growth of microbes. So it should be broken. Foam control unit will break it. Temperature and pH should be maintained. Temperature should not go high, not too low, so that can be monitored. pH goes up because of rapid growth of microbes. So pH can be altered. Okay, so what will happen if pH goes up? It will not allow proper growth of the microbes. So acids or bases can be added to control the pH. Then baffles are there. They promote the better flow of fluid and maximize the efficiency. Baffles are long strips of veins held here. It is not shown in this diagram, but they are there in the fermenters, so that the flow of fluid is in one proper direction. It will not flow here and there, that way. Spargers, their advantages over simple stirred tanks, they are better. Why? Because they have a sparger which can force in bubbles of air, sterile air, germ-free air, oxygen, that is the oxygen, can be bubbled into the system. And the bubbles increase the area for oxygen transfer. So these are all bubbles. You can see a bubble magnified here, surface area increased. So when surface area is increased, it dramatically increases the oxygen transfer area, and that results in better growth of the organisms and better product yield. So increased oxygen will give you high product yield. So these are some of the features of a bioreactor. There are more bioreactors like airlift bioreactor and all. We are not discussing it in 12th biology here. Then we will discuss about the types of growth phases of the microbe within the fermenter or in the flask. What are the various growth phases that a microbe goes through, and which one is better? So we will talk about all those things. Then we will talk about scale-up process and downstreaming process in the next videos. Keep watching. I hope you understood. Please like and comment if anything needed. Thank you.